Yo, what's up? Long time no see. Contrary to belief, I do go outside. Right here. I don't know how this audio is going to sound because I know there's birds chirping and everything, so, it may not be the best, but I did need to add this to the beginning of this video. This is present day me speaking right now, May 29th. As I'm recording this. This video was recorded well over a month ago, like April 19th, I think, was the day that I recorded it. So, there's some information that's out of date. I cover returning directors for these movies, and Adam Wingard has already said he's tapped out. He's gone on to direct a passion project, an original horror film. So I just wanted to add that addendum in here before the video started. And once again, my apologies for not uploading. That video was supposed to be out like the very next week after I recorded it. It's called Finals. Finals whooped me. But luckily, we passed them all. I've taken some time off from YouTube to work on some music and stuff because I haven't released a song in a while and I wanted to release a new song. And so, it's kind of put everything on the back burner for a bit. But I'm finally getting this video out because after this, I'm going to release the GxK spoiler review. But yeah, without any further ado, I'll pass it on to me from well over a month ago. So yeah, with GxK's continued success, I think it's pretty safe to say we're going to see at least one more MonsterVerse film. Therefore today, I'm going to be going over what I personally would really like to see in the next MonsterVerse film, what I think that it needs to do to succeed long term, and what it needs to do in order to improve off of the previous films. And obviously, before we start, spoiler warning for GxK if you haven't seen it yet. We're going to be going off some stuff in that film, so yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, just click off the video, go watch the movie. So let's get into it. Above all, I think everyone that is a MonsterVerse fan wants to see another solo film. And specifically, I think the fans are dying for a third Godzilla solo film. I think all of us are dying for that. It is long overdue. We've had two mostly Kong-centric movies in a row now, especially GxK is very Kong-centric. And while Godzilla, I think, has more to do in that than a lot of people would like to admit, it is definitely less than I would like. So, I think G-Man needs a film, not only just another film to himself, but completely dedicated to him. Kong can be in this movie, but like as a cameo, max. Like maybe show what he's doing in response to whatever's going on with Godzilla in this film. Now, this next one is really important, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me on this. In my opinion, the next MonsterVerse film absolutely needs to introduce at least two Toho kaiju. Ones that we have not seen yet, both for the protagonists and antagonists. My picks for Godzilla's allies, number one, absolutely Anguirus. Anguirus just does not get enough love. He is Godzilla's first foe and one of Godzilla's earliest allies. Either way, Anguirus is the GOAT, deserves to have some respect put on his name. He hasn't been in a film since 2004. He was in Singular Point, but he was like barely in it. So yeah, put some respect on my boy's name. My next pick for a Godzilla ally is King Caesar. Allegedly, I'm not certain, but allegedly Scar King was originally going to be King Caesar and was considered to be an enemy for Kong. I see King Caesar as more of an anti-hero than anything, so I'm fine with him being either a protagonist or antagonist. I just put him in the ally picks, considering this is a Godzilla solo movie that I'm wanting here. I think Rodan is in need of a redemption arc. For Rodan taking Anguirus' spot in the Big Five, I'm grabbing my water, I'm thirsty. But for Rodan taking Anguirus' spot in the Big Five of the Godzilla mythos, I think Rodan also needs some respect put on his name, because I'm not gonna hold you. I love Rodan. Rodan's awesome, but also Rodan is not him. Rodan's just not him. I think Rodan is definitely in need of a redemption arc, especially considering I think MonsterVerse Rodan is one of the best renditions of the character. If we're talking mechanized allies for Godzilla, I say Moguera. God, I want to see Moguera so bad. I love Moguera. Absolutely my favorite SH Monster Arts that I own of any of the SH Monster Arts figures. Obviously, my boy Jet Jaguar is having a huge comeback right now. Bro was the star of the show of Godzilla Singular Point, like literally the saving grace of that show in my opinion. He's getting his second SH Monster Arts figure this year, and he was also in last year's Godzilla Day short film. And then I would also maybe like to see a heroic Mechagodzilla. I do want to see the duality of Mechagodzilla here in the MonsterVerse, both evil and heroic. As for picks for the antagonist, the two that are tied for my number one picks are Biollante and Hedorah, however you want to pronounce it. I think most, if not all of us, are on the same page that these two fit the MonsterVerse perfectly, considering the themes of balance, space and how humanity affects the ecosystem, all this other stuff. These are common themes explored in the MonsterVerse, and I believe these two encapsulate that perfectly. Obviously, I want to see my boy Gigan. I mean, I don't gotta get into it. Titanosaurus would also be great to see again. Titanosaurus has quite literally done nothing in I don't know how long. So yeah, I'd love to see Titanosaurus in this. I would love to see my boy Orga as well. Godzilla 2000 was one of the earliest Godzilla films I watched, and Orga is such an interesting villain. I would absolutely love to see Orga in this film. And then lastly, Megalon, just like in the Apple TV spin-offs video, roid him up, make him a force to be reckoned with, and especially, if you do Jet Jaguar, you kind of have to do Megalon. Those two are kind of two peas in a pod, in my opinion. So yeah, any of those kaiju, both for the protagonist and antagonist, I think are going to be perfect picks for this film. Now, this is also really important. Whoever the villain is, they need to give Ghidorah a run for his money. They need to give Godzilla a true challenge, even in his evolved or thermonuclear form. Like, I genuinely want whoever the villain is to be so strong that if Godzilla is fighting on his own, there's a very good chance Godzilla's going to die. And we could easily tell just from the way that the two fight. Thereby, making the allies that need to show up in this film much more important. I mean, if we're being honest here, Godzilla and Mothra probably could have taken on Scar and Shimo by themselves. Genuinely, I could probably see Kong sitting out that fight and it really not mattering that much. I think regardless, Godzilla needed a support titan there. It's just, did Kong need to be the support titan? I think Mothra probably could have filled that role just as well. So I think because Godzilla is getting to the point to where he's just so stupidly overpowered that he can just do a majority of this by himself, that yeah, I think that the villain needs to be so overpowered that it genuinely does require him to have help to win the battle. This is one that, God, I was hoping GxK would not fall victim to, but I really hope this next film doesn't fall victim to. Both GvK and GxK's biggest problems are the runtime just being too short to flesh everything out properly. It is literally just enough time to make the movie work. I think both movies would improve drastically with an extra 20 minutes. So I say minimum runtime for this film needs to be 2 hours and 15 minutes, if not even a little bit longer. This goes hand in hand with the longer runtime. Another problem I had with GxK was I thought the final battle was just a little bit too short. Just a little bit. I would like it to be 5 minutes longer. So I think, especially because this would be the end of the Godzilla trilogy in the MonsterVerse, that it needs to be a much longer final battle, something akin to the King of the Monsters final battle, even longer maybe. An aspect of GxK that I absolutely adore, I absolutely love, is that it really, really personalizes the kaiju more than we have ever seen. Kong is this very emotional character. He's very stoic, yet he's also sad deep down because, he's missing his people, and then by the end of the film, you see how much happier he is because he's met his people, he's freed them from the Scar King, he's got Shimo as an ally, he's got basically a son with Zuko, and Godzilla is basically just Vegeta. He's just always pissed off. So I think we should play more into that. Why does he care so much about the environment? Why does he care so much about Earth? Why is he the protector? Why does he maybe do some things that, we think is kind of asshole-ish of Godzilla, like, how he just bodied Tiamat? Which I think both Scylla and Tiamat both had it coming in the long run, but Tiamat's was just a little bit more uncalled for because Godzilla kind of instigated that. And something I personally would love to see, considering, Godzilla, other than Mothra and Kong, really has nobody to call his friend. Mothra is the only one he truly cares about, and then Kong is the guy that he hates but he has to work with. Basically, Kong is Goku, Godzilla's Vegeta. What I really want to see is a true friendship between Godzilla and Anguirus. Maybe they were way back, that was his number one ally, that was his best friend other than Mothra. But due to all the stuff with the Scar King, and then Ghidorah's appearance and all this stuff, and Shimo's Ice Age, that Anguirus just kind of disappeared, and as far as he knows, he's dead, considering we see that little Anguirus skeleton there in King of the Monsters that's basically right outside of his home. So I think, giving a true emotional story to Godzilla where he is reunited with his best friend after he's presumed to be dead for millions of years, only to have to come together to fight against whoever, I think that would be a beautiful story for Godzilla. The MonsterVerse, ultimately, I think one of its biggest problems with consistency and everything is the fact that we tend to flip-flop between different directors all the time. We've had a total of 4 directors now, and only one of them has directed more than one entry. I'm fine with Wingard returning. Spoiler alert, That ain't happening. But I would prefer Doherty come back. Just like a GxK, I don't want the humans to intervene in the final battle of all and to be the reason that they win. We're going to have humans regardless in this film, no matter how much they're in it. But considering how Kong-centric GxK was, to the point to where like the humans were like just like not necessarily actual side characters, but they were definitely not the main thing of the film. And that means focusing on the kaiju more in general, and therefore I think a kaiju should be the reason that the final battle is won and not a human. Whether it's something one of his allies do or something that Godzilla does himself, I think that there should be no human intervention. One of my biggest criticisms of GxK is that we didn't get any flashback sequences. Like, this was the perfect movie to do the flashbacks in. So I do want to see at least one scene of Godzilla in his early days, his times in the prehistoric periods. Whether it's his run-in with Scar King, his first battle with Ghidorah, or like setting up his and Anguirus' friendship, what have you. Just something set in the past. Like I said earlier, regardless, you have to have humans in these films. And for consistency's sake, I would rather it be a returning character than for us to just have an entirely new cast and everything. That way we have a through line from GvK to now, or like from any of the past movies to now. And maybe they increased the budget just a little bit, not by too much. I don't think they should increase the budget to like 200 million, but maybe they increased the budget up to like 150, 160 mil, and they decide, you know what, we're gonna get one of the big names back, and I would say pick Aaron Taylor Johnson and just give him more personality, because he's so great in like Bullet Train and some other movies, and he's just kind of nothing in Godzilla 2014. So yeah, like the rest of the human cast can be new unknown actors. I don't care. I love the Hollow Earth. It's one of the weirdest but also one of the best things about the MonsterVerse, but I think it's time we take a little break from exploring it. I think that is something that needs to be explored more in a Kong film or in a team-up film, or one of the Apple TV shows, whatever. It can be involved in some manner, like flashback sequence, what have you, but I just don't want as much of it in a Godzilla-centric film. If this is going to be a Godzilla-centric film, I want Godzilla destroying buildings. I do want to see Godzilla in some new locations, though. Like, I wouldn't mind the final battle being out, like, the Himalayas, or, like, on Mount Fuji, or something like that. And I think, honestly, considering, this would be the end of the Godzilla trilogy coming full circle, Godzilla originates from Japan, it would be neat to have the final battle be in Japan. Whether, like I said, on Mount Fuji itself, or, like, down in the city, wherever. I think a more Japan-centric film would be great. And, that could be reflected in the cast of unknowns as well. Maybe get some foreign actors. Another big thing that I also want to touch on is I don't want them to backtrack from Godzilla Evolved. Keep the design. You can maybe beef him up in the stomach and the legs a little bit. Maybe shorten his arms back out to please the people that are tweaking over the arms. But I want the general, like, aesthetic of Godzilla Evolved to stay. And maybe you can change the color of the spines and the breath as well if you want. I could totally see them taking Evo Goji and literally just making him modern day Millennium, even though, that's basically what he already is. But as in to where it's literally a callback to Millennium, where the very next film, it's the same design, but with a color palette swap, so with white spines and a white breath. Above all, I think this next film, I absolutely don't think this next film needs to include either Space Godzilla or Destoroyah. I think that they need to be set up, like, have little tidbits, little Easter eggs here and there to set one of their appearances up, but I don't think they need to be the main villain. I don't think they need to be in the movie. And that leads into the final thing that I think this movie needs to do. I think the only two MonsterVerse films that have post-credit scenes are, it's Kong Skull Island and King of the Monsters are the only two with a post-credit scene. So I think we need to remind the audience that, Destoroyah is coming, or, if Space Godzilla is on the way, that Space Godzilla is imminent. And hell, I mean, you can even do two post-credit scenes. Have Space Godzilla literally be, like, about to show up to Earth, and have Destoroyah maybe in one of the early, like, the crab forms or something. Just, like I said, just to set up. Whichever, I'm fine with either. You know what? I want to redo the outro as well. I originally was going to keep the original video outro, but yeah, that pretty much wraps up the end of the video and what I really want to see from the next MonsterVerse film. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see from the next MonsterVerse film. Maybe, maybe we don't even get just a Godzilla focus. Maybe we have Godzilla and Godzilla Jr., like how we did with Kong and Suko and GxK. Maybe it's not even a Godzilla solo film. Maybe, like, Mothra or Rodan gets a solo film. I don't know how those would do personally, but I would love to see either of them get a solo project in any form. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you want to see Space Godzilla as soon as possible and you want him in Godzilla 3. I say save him for the third GxK movie, but That's just my opinion. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts and everything on the video down below. Hit that subscribe button and follow me on Instagram. And I don't be using TikTok as much. I need to use it more, but follow me on TikTok as well. And I want to thank everyone who's been streaming From the Depths. It's been one of my biggest songs in a minute. I'm very proud of how it turned out. Dagon is also very proud of how it turned out. And I'm glad that I see you all still bumping it to this day. I'm going to have a new song come out very soon, like beginning-ish of June. So stay tuned for that. There's plenty of Godzilla references in it. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that right now. And above all, the GxK spoiler review is going to be the next video. I promise it's going to be. My apologies for taking so long. This is going to be an hour-long video. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. It's going to be a long one. And then after that, I plan to cover all the Transformers movies, all the live-action ones, and maybe touch on the animated 1986 film, maybe, in preparation of Transformers 1, since, you know, I did the analyze in the trailer. So that'll probably be the very next thing after the review for GxK. Now, that doesn't mean we're just going to become a Transformers channel until September. I still have a lot of videos branching off of GxK planned, and I eventually want to do a video on Godzilla -1, especially now where it's also on digital, so, you know, I actually have access to footage without being copyrighted. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Make sure to go outside today. It's a wonderful day out when I'm recording this. I don't know how it's gonna be when I drop this video, but let's hope it's nice out. But yeah, that's all I gotta say. Peace.